on battling with content piracy powered by Lionsgate. I would like to start off by thanking everyone for being a part of the fifth edition of Pixels Digital Entertainment reaching a new peak. We would now like to thank our title partner, Food, Platinum partner, Amazon Prime Video, CX partner, Zendesk, content delivery partner, Limelight Networks, Gold partners, Lionsgate Play, and Shamaru Entertainment. Without any further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce you to the moderator of this session, Mr. Madhur Singhal, Managing Partner and CEO, Praxis Global Alliance. And we have a distinguished set of leaders who are going to speak in this particular discussion. Mr. Vivek Sood, Senior Advocate at Supreme Court of India, Vishwaroop Chakrabarti, Head Legal at Eros Digital, Ms. Isha Ratnam, Director Legal, South Asia and Emerging Markets, Southeast Asia at Lionsgate. I would request all the participants, I beg your pardon, I request all the delegates to keep posting their questions in the chat box and the panel will address a selected few at the end of the session. Over to you, Mr. Mathur.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Sriraj. Very good afternoon to everyone. Very excited to be hosting a set of very distinguished people here. Just to introduce the topic of for today, we're going to talk about piracy, and we're going to talk about digital piracy, no, not piracy in any other context. And we will try to keep the discussion broad and comprehensive. Not just restricted to media, but also all kinds of media, gaming, for example, software to some extent. To keep it very relevant. And the two things we really want to discuss today as a part of this group. I think one is talking about what is really the economic cost of piracy. Why should we worry as a business? Why should we worry as a country? Why should we worry as a set of content creators? Why should the government worry? Which is why we have Vivek here as well. So we're going to talk about the costs and economic implications. And then we want to also brainstorm a little bit on the legal aspects of it and understand what it really means, what really needs to change as a country and as a legal framework. Are we ready to fight piracy, and what needs to be done, not just in our judicial system, but also what is the legal framework or the legislative framework that needs to be created around this. So I think with that, maybe I'll start with maybe Vishwaroop. You're obviously you with Eros, and you have a very long experience with a number of media companies and content producers. So do you want to start with just how do you look at piracy, and why does it matter, and what is it? How big is this problem?
Thanks, Madhur. I believe it's impossible to actually talk about the magnanimity of the problem itself, and the fact that the problem has existed for some time, and it's kind of gets exacerbated by the fact that it's entered a digital phase as well. It's difficult to actually speak about all nuances of piracy. But given the fact that India is about to reach a billion screens by about 2025 by some estimates, the fact that piracy is expected to increase and increase at enormous levels is a given. What piracy does is it takes away from the hard-earned work which is put in by content creators, content producers and publishers, by the government otherwise in maintaining a system. So what it does is it kind of it's the little mice which pegs away at the cheese. So at some point of time, we would want to ensure that whoever is a genuine stakeholder in the ecosystem is rewarded and rewarded correctly. What piracy does is ensures that it takes away from that. What it also does is piracy also tends to have its own after effects. There have been instances where we have been able to kind of figure that piracy funds something like terrorism as an instance, because there are pirates who make money that kind of goes into other things. That by itself also has direct linkages to anything which is not lawful otherwise, in addition to the fact that the piracy by itself is unlawful. So, because piracy does all of this and takes away from genuine content creators, it does create its own problems. And the fact that we are in the digital space now, it just becomes a little bigger day by day.
Got it. And
And
it's very, no, I think what you said is very interesting. Isha, in the digital world, what's the ramification like? You produced several shows, several content, sort of content titles globally, and you particularly you do it in India and South Asia. Like how, what kind of piracy and what kind of piracy challenges are you seeing today, and how is it impacting businesses like yours?
Thank you, Madhur. So again, just to add to what Vishwarup is saying, digital piracy is now is an animal which is it's difficult to curb, right? And piracy as such has, I think, two very key characteristics of piracy. Being one is that it's recurring, it's persistent, it's recurring, and the other aspect is the agility of it, right? So these two characteristics is making it very difficult for our business to sort of grapple and combat it. So also, especially in the pandemic, with everything going direct to digital, right? And there were no the initial theatrical releases, etc. Everything going direct to digital. We've it's The pandemic has also accelerated the amount of pirated content which has spread. And I always say this, that while the service or the product is in the spotlight, and rightfully so, because it's the face of the monetization, right? But if there is not enough, there is nothing to clot the bleeding or plug the hole, that's going to completely eat into the monetization. So the cost of capital of creating the product, as well as the amount which goes in marketing it, that cannot really be recovered, right? Because with piracy eating into, one is not able to really get the ROI, because if there is not enough eyeballs viewing and paying for viewing the
Right.
content.
Interesting. But Isha, Vishnu, is there a number you would say, what's the amount of monetization loss or revenue loss that you are seeing? What's your rough estimate? I know this doesn't need to be sort of your official number from your company, but just as an expert here, as an observer, what do you think? What are we losing? What's the magnitude here?
so a couple of things that I've come across, and statistics ultimately are honestly as in have their own nuances as well. But as an example on music, if you were to look at it globally, it's about 27 to 30% of genuine music sales is actually pirated music sales.
Wow.
And if you were to look at the Indian music scenario, it's 67 to 70% of all genuine sales are actually pirated. So you're looking at a vast number, which basically says 70% of music content creators are actually losing out on revenues merely because somebody's pirating their music. When
Interesting.
it comes to numbers, when it again, as I said, as in there are millions of numbers which are kind of floating around depending on the studies which have been conducted. You would also probably have anything which is in the tune of about 50 to 70 billion dollars annually, which is the kind of loss which is kind of created for content creators, for every stakeholder in the mechanism as well. But as I said, some of these numbers are numbers according to various studies, but it's a huge chunk of the content creator not being able to exploit it, not being able to monetize it, and not being able to actually get what you call the sweat of the brow. They have worked for it, they are unable to kind of get the right recompense or reward for it.
Isha, would you say is the same numbers in video, and also is India, let's say, versus other South Asian markets that you look at, are we worse off, better off, the same?
Yeah, so I think in India, some of my notes say that the loss is up to about 18,000 crores. And it's also resulted in job losses of around 60,000.
Correct.
So, and this loss is not just, to private and personal individuals, it's to the state exchequer too, right?
Correct. Correct.
To not enough taxes being gained, etc.
No, I think
So,
this is sorry, Isha, why don't you finish?
no. So I was just saying, I mean, that this it affects everybody, and the numbers are big.
Yeah.
They're growing. If that the point is, I think if we are not able to sort of introduce the right mechanisms and sort of keep abreast with piracy, I think the numbers keep multiplying.
Interesting. So, Vivek, moving to you, I think we're talking about the exchequer loss. It sounds like this is something that the government should be very worried about, and I'm sure you're encountering perhaps more and more of such cases. Just talk to us a bit about your experience on one, how the government is reacting to it, and secondly, why is this? Isha made a statement, that this is growing. Why is nobody worried, or are people worried? If yes, what are they doing about it?
That's a good question, Madhur. Let's understand why piracy is not construed as a theft. When you look at the U.S. Constitution, for example, it was ratified in 1788. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8 talks of protection of innovation, content, etc., etc. 1788. We got our constitution in 1950, 162 years down the line. There is not a single provision what to talk of, the fundamental rights. We don't have a single provision, talking about protection of innovation, content, etc., even in the directive principles of state policy. That's fine because, our constitution was born out of the freedom struggle. So we had different problems. But now we are a vibrant economy, in 2021. And digital content is a big chunk of that economy. So in my view, the industry, the content industry must pitch and debate for the government to take notice of the importance of content from a revenue perspective, employment perspective, and and from an ethical perspective. So therefore, I feel that content, protection of content, must find its way at least in the directive principles of state policy. It should be given constitutional importance. So that's where the industry must take up this cause with the government, and I'm sure the government will be very open to this idea. First of all, let's give due importance to content. And once we give importance to content, we give importance to the crimes concerning content.
Correct.
So that's one major reform that I can think of, so that we give importance as a society to content piracy.
Good. And Vishal, is there at least an acknowledgement of the fact that digital content is an asset? It's a monetizable asset, and it's something that has value. Because only then would you say, okay, something is value, then the government or the constitution would worry about loss of value, right? Or that value being misappropriated or misused without permission.
Is this addressed to you?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Vivek, sorry, Isha, you go for it.
No, please, Mr. Vivek.
I think the question was addressed to Isha, or if you can, yeah.
Okay. Of course, there is without doubt there is a value and to the asset created just because it's not in tangible form. Intellectual property is, and especially the amount, like I mentioned earlier as well, there's a lot of cost of capital going into creating the product and promoting it. And the difference between this as opposed to a tangible product is, which is probably has a limited shelf life, or you use it and then after a point it gets redundant, which is not the case in case of content, right? And we thrive to create the product to ensure we are exploiting and monetizing this as long as we can, as long as we are allowed to under the Copyright Act. So this goes without saying that one should not undermine the value of content created just because it's not in tangible form.
I would like to add, a point to what Isha said. We are in our legal system, we are still obsessed with the tangible aspect of theft. For example, I must share this very interesting incident. I was waiting for a bail matter in the sessions court, and there was a bail matter concerning theft of a mobile phone. The man was in jail for about 2 months, and the judge told the defense counsel, "Do you understand? Do you understand the implications of this? Imagine you are with a mobile phone and somebody just snatches it away. Bail dismissed. Next case was a copyright case, and bail was, easily granted by the court." So we are
Interesting.
still obsessed with the tangible aspects of theft. Now
Got
that's
it.
the social mindset which needs to change. A person who indulges in content piracy is a thief, but that has to go into the system. Now I don't say that the end user must be treated as a criminal. Otherwise, I don't think the jails can accommodate 20% or 25% of the Indian population. So I feel it should not be a criminal offense to that extent. At least the end user should not be prosecuted. But we need reform to the civil justice system. You can have a special court, for example, for trying these content piracy matters or IPR issues, and where you can have a fixed penalty, fixed fine, maybe 10 times the cost or the price of the product. So there's
Interesting.
no there's no scope for adjudication as such. And you can
Got
have
it.
summary procedure.
Yeah.
So, the
Let
civil
me.
justice system must understand and take stock of the situation
Yeah.
and create a deterrent atmosphere, at least in terms of imposing a fine on the end user.
Yeah. No, I think that's very, very well said. Let me turn the table a little bit towards Vishwarupan. See, and then maybe Isha, you can also comment on it. So there is a legal solution, of course, for when a wrong happens. That is there. We are in a digital world, internet savvy. There is enough technology now, which could also prevent or at least make pirated content less pleasurable to view, and so on, right? So as you do these debates internally, is technology going to at least cover some gap here and make it easier, make it easier for the law to act, or at least make it more difficult for the dark web and the pirates and so on to at least steal content and popularize content, circulate content? Vishnu, maybe start with you. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me break it into two parts. So one on the technological bit and the technical bits I'll come to first. But I think an interesting point that Isha raised and what Vivek also spoke about, the fact that that content piracy needs to be equated to theft. And that by itself, at some point of time, what the WIPO, which is the World Intellectual Property Organization, has also tried to do is try to include within school curriculums for kids a syllabus which says that at some point of time, if you indulge in content piracy or you watch pirated content, that's morally and ethically incorrect. So what you're also trying to do is you're trying to combat it not through a measure which is a reactive measure, but what you're trying to do is nuance it by going right to the ultimate person who's enjoying pirated content by telling him that what you're indulging is incorrect, or it's something which is. So that is an interesting aspect which has been around for some time, and it's been incorporated in certain jurisdictions as well. I don't know how successful it is, and in fact, if you also realize there was times when, and this is pre-COVID times when you watch movies in movie halls, there was always an ad which kind of also rolled out and said, "Would you steal a mobile phone? Would you steal a car? If you wouldn't do that, why would you actually watch pirated content?" So it's trying to come towards the most sensible nuances of the audience by making the audience a stakeholder in content piracy. So that's the interesting bit that I thought I should kind of add on. Additionally, on the technical measures and the technological measures, of course, there have been a bunch of those, but unfortunately, I think piracy is such a beast that it always is a step further away and one step in front. So while we have had watermarking, we've had a bunch of other things, putting it up on the cloud to ensure that there's an encrypted key. A lot of things have been there to ensure that content piracy is controlled to a certain extent. Now we have gotten into the fact that the judicial mechanism looks at something called a John Doe or Ashok Kumar order. John Doe in the US context, in India it's called Ashok Kumar for I'm guessing because of the veteran actor, where you basically go ahead against an unknown individual and try and protect. So these are things which are there not only for content with when it comes to movies or web series, but also with regard to, let's say, signal piracy. So let's say you have the World Cup coming up and somebody is pirating that signal. So you also tend to go into some of those spaces. So the fact that technical measures have also measured up and have also kind of contributed towards protecting content is there. But unfortunately, as I said, as in piracy is always a step ahead. It always ensures that there is some sort of loop around and it kind of tends to walk away. It's just it's a bunch or a combination of factors which need to be looked at to try and close this out, if at all it ever gets closed out.
Isha, what's your perspective on piracy and whether there are non-legal deterrents to piracy, all right, to reduce the frequency and intensity so that we can get our jail capacity to the level to which the accused can be prosecuted.
Um, so I'll actually take a leaf out of what Vivek said because I emphatically believe in this. It's wishful thinking, So I'll just say that, and this is, if everybody recalls the 2019 Delhi High Court, the dynamic injunction, which set precedents where you could sort of go to the registrar to get the other similar websites injuncted, and you didn't really have to go to the court each time. I think that is the need of the hour. I think a quasi judicial body, it could be a tribunal. I mean, there needs to be a specific body and not just the court to which one can go. That should be where we should be heading, because like I said, agility, if you have to match the agility of the menace, we need to also be quick on our feet. And for that, as much as best the courts can do and are doing for us, the need is to have a tribunal, or it could be a quasi judicial sort of authority to which one could run to get quicker decisions, quicker enforcement, quicker injunctions, because I think that's the need of the hour. You have to sort of chop the head off each time and it reappears, right? And on a lighter note, I will equate this recurrence to parenting, which is, once you become a parent, it never stops. It's not time bound. Similarly, I think piracy is also not time bound, right? So if you have to be, I mean, it's a recurring menace. So for me, I think, and I emphatically believe in this, there needs to be bodies other than the court from where we can get
Got it. So I
faster
think
enforcement.
that's an interesting point, because Vivek also made this point saying no, let's not make it criminal, it's actually civil, and let's have the right sort of fines and separate courts and bodies. One of the points that I wonder about, Vivek, there's a question to you, is when does a civil matter of this sort become criminal? Because if there is somebody who's literally running a business of creating pirated content, selling print, I think consumption of pirated content, yes, we might not have enough jail space to fill, but there are institutional people who are doing this every single day, and that is what is really, that is what the problem is, actually speaking.
Yes.
Right? So talk to us a bit about that. How do you think about when does civil become criminal?
Yes. Okay.
So I would ideally distinguish and classify, between the civil and the criminal. So from the end user perspective, ideally I would call it a civil theft. Because see, we don't have the infrastructure to catch hold of all the end users and put them in jail and create some deterrent atmosphere.
Correct.
So let's keep that part civil. Now, insofar as the organized piracy is concerned, it should be a severe criminal offense. And we need reforms, we need amendments in the Copyright Act, we need deterrent penalties in terms of jail terms when it comes to organized content piracy. It is almost like a a bigger scam or a big financial scam where you have multiple victims, where you have, so these stakes are much heavy. So you are actually you are proliferating criminality in the society. So that's where we need a very strong deterrent law. And in terms of investigation, criminal investigation, I would say again we need some reform. See, these offences can't be investigated by the ordinary police force, the conventional police force. The Thana, the local police station, cannot investigate these crimes. So we need a special investigative wing. Now, suppose we were to give it to the cyber crime cell, we need to beef up the infrastructure. You need more personnel. So therefore, unless you give importance to content piracy, nothing much will move. So that's where I will draw the line between the civil part and the criminality.
What is, yeah, I think, very well said, Vivek, around civil and criminal distinction. How do from a publisher perspective, Vishwaroop, how do you look at it? And again, from if I take the perspective of a content creator, then, a publisher, also to some extent the distributor, because everybody in the chain does suffer an economic loss from piracy. What can these different industry participants, what can they do? When you said, yes, we'll go, maybe with school, but that's a longer term. That effect will show up in 10 years because that's a generational change, right? But what can we do now? And what will different stakeholders or value chain participants do now? And what is the industry doing, if at all?
That's a very interesting question, Madhur. And so let me answer it by telling you what is it that's being done as of now. So with regard to organized piracy, there is obviously some sort of a deterrence in the event that there are subsequent convictions. Somebody is obviously had a harsher punishment under the existing laws. So should the harsher punishment become a little more harsher? I completely agree with Vivek as in that should. And at some point of time, we've also had certain states which have looked at it under the auspices of certain state legislations, which are called, usually referred to loosely as the Gunda Acts. So some of the states in down south have acts which speak about gundas and hooligans otherwise, and also look at various kinds of illegal activities which include bootlegging and all of that. What has been done is they have added video piracy as a crime there. So what you are now tending to do is trying to sharpen your claw when it comes to some of these content pirates by saying that, okay, I'm adding additional teeth here for the police force to do it. Additionally, what is also being done and it started in India with TIPCU, which is basically the Telangana Intellectual Property Crime Unit, which was a specialized cell created within the police, which was to come after all video and audiovisual content piracy, where they understood what the piracy was. So you actually didn't have to walk into a thana and explain the fact that, okay, listen, I have content, this is getting pirated. So they understood what the crime was, and there was effective and very fast action. So similarly, so what has happened over time is some of the publishers have also gotten together. So there's also been a similar unit which is also started in Bombay, though I don't know how effective it is as of now, which is again the MIPCU, which is the Mumbai Intellectual Property Crime Unit. So all of these are efforts by the government to try and target such organized piracy, and also trying to ensure that at some point of time, if somebody indulges in this activity on a regular basis, that there's some sort of teeth when it comes to enforcement and some sort of teeth when it comes to ensuring that they find it a little detrimental to their interest to kind of continue that particular activity itself. So I guess the future kind of holds a mix and match of all of this, and a few additional bits and pieces if we can add on to that. And that is something which is probably going to make life a little better.
Yeah. Isha, what's your perspective, on the different value chain participants? What can they do, or what are they doing? And what is proving to be effective and what's not?
Uh, I think that I think probably the government can sort of probably do a lot more, because the CPAM, which is mentioned, the one of the cells which is being created, right? So the good part is they're doing the passive part, which is trying to educate, like you said, which is going to be a long term. The results will be seen in the long term. It's and they do also, I believe, also look into enforcements, but I just feel probably, like I said, probably quasi judicial body in terms of effectuating the enforcement, as well as the government in itself probably needs to set up a more robust arm. Something, like again, what Vishwaroop said, has more teeth, and something which is actively looking into this, because this is really clearly, piracy will eat into the health of the industry, right? So I think that probably some of these initiatives from the government in terms of setting up a more robust, something which is got more teeth and is more effective. I think that measure would be useful. And the other part is, I think, at an industry level, I think it's very important to sometimes take collective measures. Um as an industry, and there's a lot of strength, when you do things as a collective unit, learn off each other. And I think those actions also help, and I think that's been done. For example, I think when theatrical films were being pirated, so the industry did get together, and then teamed up with the Maharashtra. I know there was a cell created at the state level. So those were effective measures. So I think at the government level and the industry level, if we sort of bound together, a lot more can be achieved.
Yeah. And one question to Vivek, I think we spoke a lot about, what could we do on the investigation side, from a law perspective, enforcement. Is there a judicial system that has really nailed it, that has really done very well, or where is India, in its maturity here, and is there a reference point that the industry and that the constitutional system, judicial system is looking at to say, look, we need to get there, because these guys have really got, because digital content is universal now. It's ubiquitous. It is universal. So yeah, any reference points that people should look at?
Okay, that's a very good question. We've come a long way. Let me explain this. Before 2015-16, all commercial disputes were bundled into civil disputes.
Hmm.
So you had a civil justice system and the criminal justice system.
Hmm.
Now comes 2015-16, and you have the Commercial Courts Act that is in play. And a commercial dispute is very broadly defined.
Hmm.
And the procedure for adjudication of commercial disputes is summary in nature. So what took 50 years, 40 years for a dispute to be adjudicated in the courts now is taking about 2 to 3 years. So definitely we've come a long way. Now, in my view, since content piracy is very distinct, it's very typical, it has its own challenges, it is a big stake in the economy. So I feel it should be further segregated from the ambit of commercial disputes. As Isha has repeatedly stated, we need a different quasi judicial body. Yes, we should. Because after all, courts are limited. The second point I want to make is, Madhur, the legal system is not the ultimate answer. It's a collaboration between technology and law. It's a collaboration between preventive mechanisms which technological solutions can provide and the legal system. They have to collaborate together. Law is not the answer to all problems. The third point I want to make is, there has to be some law, there has to be some amendment in the CRPC which permits the collection of evidence in digital content piracy cases, where there's a collaboration between the victim enterprise and the police. See, I will not say that the victim enterprise should be given the license to investigate these crimes. So then you have privacy issues and hacking and so many issues come into play. But definitely, I would want a collaborative effort, between the law enforcement agencies. Law enforcement agencies are working at their own pace. They have their own priorities. They will say, should I go, madam, should I go for my 302 and 376 investigation, or should I go into your, this music upload and downloading this investigation? So only the victim enterprise knows the importance of that crime. So there has to be a collaboration between them. That's take. And for this, we don't need big amendments. We don't need big changes. It's easy to say, why don't you add 10,000 more judges, and all the problems in the society will get resolved. But there are so many issues. So we have to take these small baby steps and find the best solution, in the present scenario.
It's absolutely interesting, right? Because if you look at instances of piracy or cybercrime or whatever, right, in the digital world, as technology is evolving, while the content and distribution and access is becoming better, the ability to do piracy, etc., is actually also becoming better. All the entertainment has gone in home now. Now it's on your screen. You have a mobile phone. It's actually, you don't need to go to a PVR to record a movie. You actually, can. It's actually there at your home, and you can do it. You can stream it. Forget doing it. You can actually stream it. I think very, very well said. I think for this panel, the industry, technology, and legal, right? These three, the triumvirate has to jive and work together, and has to keep pace with each other. I think technology and I think very, very interesting points. Any last comments? I think we're also running at the top of our 45 minutes. Audience, if you have any questions, I'm happy to pick it up. But any last comments from you? Maybe Isha, will start with you, and then move to Vishwaroop, and then to Vivek. Any closing remarks? Any closing thoughts?
Sorry, I'm just at home. Things get a little hectic. Yes. So again, I think the best way to combat piracy is to mirror their characteristics in terms of having a pre and a post strategy in mind. One is in terms of how do you prevent it, and how do you combat it if it's already there. So I think the post is equally important because it's a recurring phenomenon. So for me, I think if we are able to constantly juggle these two and make sure we are mirroring them in terms of at the pace it moves, yeah, we'll probably be able to do better as an industry.
Yeah, Vishwaroop, any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, Madhur, I like the fact that you refer to it as a jive. Unfortunately, it's unorchestrated as of now, and I so wish that it's orchestrated a little better. And if as long as that's done, I think we should be able to combat this because there's never a one and true only solution to this problem. This is a hydra with multiple heads, which needs to be combated at different levels. So that's all that it needs to be done. It's a combination of measures, and as long as we are able to do it together, I think we'll be able to combat it surely over time.
No, excellent. Vivek, any final thoughts from you?
Yes, I would repeat that we must give constitutional importance to protection of content, protection of creativity, protection of innovation. And secondly, we must classify, we must distinguish the end user from the organized pirate. And thirdly, we need reforms in the investigative system, the civil justice system, and the criminal justice system. We need special courts, special police. We need to carve out content piracy from the other disputes and make it distinct.
Interesting.
That's it.
No, excellent. I think really enjoyed hosting this discussion. Very powerful, very informative. I definitely learnt a lot. I see Sriraj is back on the screen, which means time for us to go. But Sriraj, back to you for any closing remarks. But from my side, thank you so much, Isha, Vishnu, Vivek. Excellent perspectives, very candid chat, and we really thank you for your time and for all the energy you brought to this discussion. Sriraj,
Thank
over
you,
to you.
Madhur.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for such an engaging discussion. It was really insightful. And a special thanks to all of you, all the panelists and the moderator, for being here with us today and making this possible. Another thank you goes out to the attendees who are here with us today. Thank you so much, everyone. Stay safe. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.